I will admit, I am not the best when it comes to this whole content creation. When it comes to recording YouTube videos, I am probably not the most entertaining person at all. I watch other YouTube channels. I watch a lot of different YouTube channels, just kind of get to know people in the space, get to know you guys as the community. And a lot of people are way more entertaining than me. I don't have like fancy gimmicks where I dance, and I don't have these great cuts and edits, and I really appreciate you guys sticking with me. I really do. So thank you so much for all. I'm probably fairly boring, and I know a lot of it is very front-winded. I was thinking as I was showering, because that's when I do my best thinking, about how I was going to do today's video. So today's video, we're going to talk about Sun and Moon booster boxes, which have been absolutely exploding in price. But I was like, okay, how do I want to introduce this? And somehow I came to like a base set booster box, a Mew VMAX League battle deck. I'm going to use that in my intro, and I'm like, that's going to get pretty long. People are not going to like that. I just don't know how to segue things really well. But thank you very much. I promise it will all make sense. So bear with me as we get through this. This is a base set booster box right here. So this is, it's really cool. I love base set booster box. Very, very cool. Obviously, not something that you're going to hold in your hands very frequently. This came out in 1999. So this booster box is 27 years old. 27 years old, right? What year are we in? I don't remember. 24 years old, something like that. So this booster box, very, very old. Back in the day, obviously, you could buy these at KB Toys, Toys R Us, different card shops. You could buy them for like 70, 80 bucks. They get blown out. And some people had the mindset to keep them sealed for years and years and years. And at one point in time during the pandemic, these booster boxes were selling for $28,000. $28,000 is what Troll and Toad would buy this for during the middle of the pandemic, which is absolutely insane. $28,000 for a booster box is crazy. They've gone down a lot. This one, you can find them for like $16,000, $17,000 if you look hard enough. They've really fallen in price. But a lot of people saw that during the pandemic. A lot of content creators talked about it, and they thought, okay, well, we should start saving booster boxes. We should start locking away a case in the closet, forgetting about it, and then in 25, 26 years, maybe it will blow up to $28,000. A lot of people come to this channel. A lot of people talk about Pokemon investing and investing in Pokemon cards, which I think is great. I think there's room for everybody in this hobby. Unfortunately, I am not a great Pokemon card investor. I don't really invest in Pokemon cards. I don't buy something today with the hopes that 25 years from now, it's going to blow up in price. I don't have the patience. Ultimately, I'm a business owner. I own the Card Coliseum with my business partner, Papa Blastoise, and our main thing is burning and turning. Our big thing is we want to buy something at X price, sell it at Y price, and move it. And when I talk about the League battle decks from Mew VMAX, a lot of times we deal with bigger storefronts or other storefronts who might have an exorbitant, that's a word, amount of these lying around, of older products, of different products, and they might be like, hey Danny, or hey Fanny, or whatever they call me, we want to liquidate some of these. We got too much in stock. Can I send you, let's say 100 of these or 200 of these? Can we send you 200 of these? We'll give you wholesale costs, or we'll give you a discount. We'll give you them for $16, $17 a piece, basically, and I'll be like, well, let me look at the math. Let me see what it all is, because I'm not buying this product in order to hold on to it for 10 years to see if it doubles or triples in price. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't want this. This is a $30 product. If it doubles to $60 in 10 to 20 years, that's great. But what about the money that I'm putting in it now? I need that money to make money, so that way I can buy more products. That way I can buy more Scarlet and Violet 151 or Paradox Rifts. That way I can turn that for, right now, 3, 4, 5%, because that's all you're getting on some of these products. So then I break down the contents of these. I'm like, okay, well, what will it do for me if I break this open? Well, I see on the deck list in the back, okay, well, there's 4 Battle VIP passes. So right there, you're looking at like $12. There's 2 Genesect Vs. There's 2 Mew Vs. So those are each going to sell for about $2 a piece. So that's $20 right there between the Battle VIP passes, the Genesect Vs, and the Mew Vs. So that covers the cost, basically, that I'm putting into this. And then I have the other goods, the other ancillary products that are in here, the Mew VMAXs, which sell for $4 to $5 a piece. So right there, you're looking at roughly $8 to $10 worth of profit without factoring in the additional bulk. However, I have to figure 13 to 14% fees if I'm breaking these down, selling them on TCG Player. I have to factor in shipping. Obviously, there's going to be people who bundle these things together. So what cost, what profit per box am I looking at here by buying these, more of these at wholesale than what I was already allocated? And that's really what I'm focusing on. We talk about prices a lot, and I think that's really important as a collector as well. As somebody who's paying attention to the market, you know when the best time then is to pull the trigger. If you're somebody who's like, hey Fanny, I want to buy an Evolving Skies booster box, but right now they're selling for $425. I accidentally cracked mine thinking it was going to have a Moonbreon in it, and all it did was have a Trevenant VMAX, and that's basically it. I want to buy another one so that way I can throw it in the storage unit and just forget about it for a long time. When's a good time to pull the trigger? And I'll be honest with you, I'll be out front with you. I don't know if they're going to reprint it. I don't think that they will. My best guess is that they won't, but there's a possibility with the way the market is right now that those could come back down to sub $400 prices at some point in the future. I don't think that they will. So your best bet, in my opinion, is going to be to buy it now at this price. If you can find them for $400, I would pull the trigger on it if you're somebody who's looking to add one to your collection. But I'm not going to tell you to buy it at $400 because in 10 years I think it's going to be worth $4,000. I'm not going to tell you to do something like that. So it's a lot different as far as Pokemon investing goes. It's more like, okay, well, let's analyze the market, and if you're somebody who likes to collect sealed products, let's try and pinpoint the best time to buy this item to add to your collection, so that way you're not paying $4,000 10 years down the road, assuming you're still involved in Pokemon, assuming you're still interested in Pokemon. I think that's where a lot of the confusion comes through, but the market in general is very, very interesting to me, and that's why we're looking at Sun and Moon booster boxes today, because a lot of them have blown up in price. So you have a lot of vintage products doing really well right now. However, base set booster box, nowhere near where it was during the pandemic. Sun and Moon booster boxes, way above where they were in the pandemic. Does that segue work? We went 6 minutes talking about all that. That feels like a really long introduction, but Sun and Moon booster boxes doing extremely well. Fanny, let's stop looking at your face and actually look at the products that you're talking about here. Sun and Moon booster boxes obviously getting a lot of attention. The products themselves, the cards themselves, getting a lot of attention throughout content creation for a long time over the past year, really focusing on tag teams, things like that. Obviously, the original alternate arts, people were really pumping those all over the place, not necessarily because they had stock on hand that they wanted to move, but really because that's where the attention was going. That's where traffic was headed. That's where a lot of people were focusing on. So a lot of content creators recorded videos about tag teams because it was like a hot button in the community at the time. However, all of Sun and Moon is really starting to blow up in price, starting with Sun and Moon base booster boxes here. You can see in September of 2022, this was a $200 box. So it was above MSRP. On set was 4 or 5 years old. 5 years old for a booster box of Sun and Moon, roughly at the time when this growth pattern started at $200 there. $203.60 is where it was sitting in September of 2022. Started going up a little bit, but now really started to explode. You can see in April of 2023, things really started to take off. It's sitting at $266 right now and 16 cents. That's a 1-year high for Sun and Moon booster boxes and continuing to trend in the upward direction. Not a whole lot in Sun and Moon that people are looking to pull. However, as sealed product starts dwindling, as a lot of these booster boxes start dwindling, I mean, people want them for their sealed collection. Maybe some people want them for breaks, whatever the case may be. It's really starting to drive the price upward. So if you're still looking at adding a Sun and Moon booster box, really now's the time to kind of start looking at them, because they're really starting to grow in price quite a bit. You can see it's a very drastic incline from April all the way up to September right now. If we look at Guardians Rising, it's cooled off a little bit. It did start rising quite a bit. You can see in September of 2022, it was sitting at $274.61. That was a 1-year low for this product. Started going up a little bit, and then November of 2022 leveled off. It still increased, went from about $320 up to about $340, but it took about 6 months to do that, from November of 2022 all the way up until April of 2023, and then it started to trickle upward, a little bit more significant of a gain, jumped all the way up to $389.96 as a 1-year high, and then backed off a little bit, sitting at $347.14. So still a little bit closer to its 1-year high than its 1-year low. Not a whole lot of cards in Guardians Rising that you're going to be excited to pull either. There's not a whole lot of cards in that set that are chase. A lot of products were printed in the front half of Sun and Moon, which is why these took so much longer to mature. We had the Pokemon Go craze, a lot of people getting back involved in the competitive area, and that's why you had Sun and Moon base, you had XY Evolutions, you had Burning Shadows, Crimson Invasion, a lot of those heavy printed items, which really crashed the market on booster boxes at that time, kind of like what we're going through right now with Scarlet and Violet. Burning Shadows, another indicator of a product that's doing really well over the past 6 months, but took a little while to get there. You can see in September of 2022, hovering right around that $360 price point, started going up a little bit, and then in February of 2023, fell back down to $352.19 as a 1-year low, and then after after that. Very steep inclines over the past 6 months. So while a lot of the Pokemon market is suffering, Sun and Moon era booster boxes are not, and they're starting to explode in a lot of different areas. You can see Burning Shadows jumping all the way up to $418.27. Obviously, people are going to be chasing that Rainbow Rare Charizard, terrible print quality in Burning Shadows. However, not a whole lot else in Burning Shadows that's super expensive outside of that Charizard, but the booster box itself obviously exploding in price. Crimson Invasion, another product. This was probably the last product in the Sun and Moon block that got overprinted, where there was a lot of them, kind of like what I said we're dealing with in Scarlet and Violet right now, trending downward from September of 2022 up until February of 2023. This was sitting at $168.29 as a one-year low. So in March of 2023, it was about $20 above MSRP and really started to take off. You can see, again, very steep inclines after that in March of 2023, jumped all the way up to $197.81 recently. So that's a one-year high that it's sitting at right now for Crimson Invasion. Ultra Prism, that's when things really backed off. Pokemon ended up printing a lot less of these. I remember opening up 1,000 booster packs of Ultra Prism on opening weekend. We did a big stream, and then on Monday, I reached out to my distributor 5 days before release, and I said, hey, I need another 10 cases of Ultra Prism. Can you help me out with that? And he said, yeah, I can, but just so you know, that's all we have left. You're getting our last 10 cases, and Pokemon has no plans at restocking these. So this is it. And I was like, holy buckets, are you serious? What happened? Like, why are we backing off so much on product? But because of that, Ultra Prism started jumping in price right away, and they didn't reprint Ultra Prism until 4 years later, 3 years later. During the middle of the pandemic, we had Ultra Prism, we had Unbroken Bonds in a small quantity, but finally that drove prices down a little bit. But Ultra Prism really doing well over the past year. You can see in September of 2022, it was sitting at $375.35. Slow gains up until April of 2023, like what we saw with these other ones, and then really exploded in price, sitting at $492.34 currently, and that's a one-year high for this product. However, there's really none that you can find below $500, so continuing to trend in the upward direction, and a lot of that is because of the full art supporters that are in here. Cynthia, very expensive card. Lily from Ultra Prism, obviously the most expensive of the full art trainers, but then you also have the gold Solgaleo, you have the gold Lunala, lots of really cool cards in that Ultra Prism set. Forbidden Light has rebounded extremely well over the past 4 or 5 months, trending downward quite a bit. In September of 2022, it was at that $320 mark, and then really started crashing in February of 2023, hit that one-year low of $282.04, and then it's gained everything back and then a little bit more. So very steep incline starting in May throughout the summer, jumped up over 10% over the last few months, sitting at $329.38 and continuing to trend in the upward direction. Celestial Storm has done very well and started a little bit earlier, kind of at the beginning of 2023 in January is where it really started taking off. September of 2022, it was sitting at $482.23, so that was a one-year low for this product. Kind of level growth, slow growth, not too bad growth until January of 2023, and then it just shot up. And you can see jumping all the way up in July of 2023 is where it hit that one-year high of $616.68. Backed off a little bit, sitting at $613.70 right now, and not a whole lot of sales happening at that rate, but there's also not a whole lot of booster boxes that are below that rate. I think the lowest one listed on TCG Player right now was like $700, so Celestial Storm continuing to rise quite a bit. Lost Thunder also doing very well. It was a little bit slower because all of a sudden Pokemon out of nowhere during the pandemic found all of these build and battle cases, of Lost Thunder that just were on a container ship or something, where there were 10 build and battle boxes and a Lost Thunder booster box in a pre-release kit and an entire pre-release kit, and there was a lot of those that were found. Same thing with Fates Collide, so that kind of impacted the price quite a bit and slowed down the growth of Lost Thunder. You can see in September of 2022 all the way up until February of 2023, relatively slow, right? $355.35 was its one-year low in September, and then in February of 2023, March of 2023, it was maybe at that $400 mark, but then over the past 6 months, it's gained about $158, so roughly 40% growth over the past 6 months or so, sitting at $558.63 currently. That's a one-year high for Lost Thunder. Team Up, we don't even need to talk about Team Up. Team Up has done absolutely just bonkers things over the past year. Obviously, that chase of the birds, the Latios and Latias alternate art has just, it's exploded in price, almost doubling in price over the past year, and that was after basically doubling in price the year prior to that. In September of 2022, this was sitting at $901.35, which is still a lot of money for a Sun and Moon era booster box, a booster box that's really only 5 years old, exploding in price up to almost $2,000 $4,000. You can see in February of 2023, things started climbing up a little bit, and then in April of 2023, forget about it. It just went nuts and went absolutely crazy. Now it's sitting at $1,787.80, $1,787.80, much more expensive than just about every single box from the X and Y era, even more expensive than some of the boxes from black and white. You might be able to find a black and white base booster box for basically the same price if you're looking at adding a more expensive booster box to your collection. Team Up, just absolutely crazy how much it's exploded in price. Unbroken Bonds has done really well over the past several months here. You can see relatively flat in September of 2022, all the way up until January of 2023. It was sitting right around $490, and then it backed off a little bit. And in February of 2023, it hit that one-year low of $460.51, but then started making some hay like what we saw with the other booster boxes at the beginning of the Sun and Moon era. And then in April of 2023 into May, really started taking off, sitting at $531.45 currently. That's a one-year high for Unbroken Bonds. Unified Minds has done nutso gains over the past year, doing extremely well. Kind of like what we saw with these other ones in September of 2022. It was at its one-year low at $377.79, relatively flat until December, and then really in March started taking off like crazy. You can see some significant gains. It's sitting at $592.77 currently. That's a one-year high. Obviously, a lot of people chasing these tag teams. A lot of attention still being paid to tag teams, alternate arts, things like that, and Cosmic Eclipse, despite the fact that there was a lot more Cosmic Eclipse booster packs that were flooding the market. I think people kind of got hooked. They had the opportunity to open some in some of those Pokeball tins that were coming out, and some of the collection boxes that were coming out, the Arceus figure collection box that came out. They were just a singular pack of Cosmic Eclipse, and because of that, the booster boxes really started exploding in price. Cosmic Eclipse also a little bit more exciting for people to open because you get more pulls out of it with those character rares that are included in the reverse hollow spot. There's 8 or whatever, however many there are in there, so it adds to your hit rate. You're typically going to get about 3 of those per booster box. Relatively flat from September of 2022 up until February of 2023. Sounds like a broken record. $537.92 was its one-year low, which it hit in about November of 2022, and then really in April again started exploding in price. Some really big inclines. You're looking at 30 to 40% growth over the past few months, sitting at $793.90, which is a one-year high for that product as well. The ancillary products, the ETBs, the specialty sets, not doing as well. Shining Legends has really been on a downward trend ever since the end of the pandemic, or where the pandemic slowed down quite a bit. You can see in September of 2022, this was sitting at $325.93. That was a one-year high, but it's just consistently gone down and had some rather steep declines over the past few months. In July of 2023, it was sitting at about $295. It lost about $15 or so over the last month and a half, sitting at $281.39 currently, and continuing to trend downward. Dragon Majesty kind of doing the opposite, doing very well over the past 6 months or so. In February of 2023, it was sitting at $338.61. Started seeing some growth, backed off a little bit in May, and then started having a little bit more steep inclines after that, sitting at $364.21 a couple weeks ago. That was a one-year high, and it's dropped down to $362.71 currently. Hidden Fates is always going to be the most interesting set to me because of the amount of reprints that it had and continuing to trend in the upward direction. In November of 2022, this was sitting at $148.98. It's had a lot of peaks and valleys, a lot of ups and downs as more product has just started hitting the market a little bit, because I do think a lot of people are holding on to sealed ETBs of Hidden Fates. However, as more and more hit the market, it drops just a little bit, and then more popularity comes out, and then it starts rising again. You can see it hit $176.55 in July, backed off a little bit, but now it's still sitting at $172.16, which is still going to be about 20% higher than where it was last year. That's it for Sun and Moon. I think tomorrow or Monday, Monday, we're going to be looking at how Sword and Shield booster boxes are doing. It's kind of a weird week because we're doing our stream on Tuesday, which means we'll have an off day on Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, I'm hoping to get Scarlet and Violet 151 in so we can take a sneak peek of that. Go back, watch Friday's video of last week if you want to enter to win a Pokemon 151 booster box. This bad boy right here, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button, go like and leave a comment on that video. Come back on Friday, see if you're a winner. Guys, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the content. If you do, hit that subscribe button, share the channel, leave a like and a comment. Regardless, thank you just for taking the time to listen to me ramble. I'm sorry for being the way that I am, but I hope you guys are okay with that. I'm just a dorky guy who doesn't dance really that much at all. Maybe I'll have to add some dance moves, and you don't want to see that. You don't want to see that. Thank you so much for taking the time, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Until next time, peace.